Welcome to this small, quiet room inside your day where the clock ticks like a heartbeat behind the walls. The floorboards are old but faithful, and something about their creak says you have been expected. The air is cool, clean enough to let words settle, soft enough to let them dissolve. You are safe here, and the hush is kind to you. In this space, we will walk a short road together, the way you would walk your street at dusk, looking at the windows, seeing the lamps come on one by one. There is a story you have told yourself about love and food, about guilt and hunger, and it has grown claws in the dark. The story says you fail first, then eat, as if the fork were a weapon you cannot put down. But there is another story, older and humbler, and it is ready to speak when you are ready to listen to something simple and true. Watch the thoughts appear and fade, like moths around a porch light.
You have believed that you do not love yourself because you are heavy, or because your choices have teeth and bite back. You have believed that if you were lighter or purer, love would arrive and take up residence, sweeping the corners and airing out the rugs. The mind sells that idea in slick packaging, the way a roadside diner sells pie at midnight to travelers who want to keep going. It feels close to the truth, but it is backward. The older truth says the absence of love comes first, and the choices come next, like rain after thunder. Lack blooms into habit, and habit turns the lock from the inside, leaving you rattling a door that never opens. It is not a moral failure. It is a haunted hallway where no one bothered to turn on a light. And in the dark, a hand reaches for what hurts, because hurt seems like the only thing that belongs. Watch the thoughts drift through, noticed but untouched.
The body knows when something is poison, even when the tongue says it is pleasure. Deep down, behind the ribs, you can tell which bites will be kind and which will sneer while they swallow your peace. There is a grim private theatre where you feed yourself what punishes you, and the audience claps with nails instead of hands. The show is called Deserving, and the script is written in blame. Self-hatred makes everything taste like a verdict, and verdicts make everything feel final. When the night is loud inside, you feed the noise because quiet seems undeserved. You do it to stain the parts of you that already feel stained, a dark joke that is not funny when the lights come up. The strangest thing is how reasonable it all sounds until you hear it out loud. Watch the thoughts cross the stage and leave by the same door they entered.
There is a trick that is not a trick, a simple doorway in a shabby wall. You do not have to summon love the way old magicians drag scarves from sleeves. You can pretend for a moment, the way a child pretends to be brave while stepping into a basement where the bulb has burned out. Pretend is the real key when the lock is made of smoke. Pretend you love yourself not forever, just for the span of a single bite. Pretend you love the bodies like a loyal dog that has followed you through sleet and summer, licking your hand even when you were unkind. Pretend you're worth one clean, bright mouthful, something that grew in sun and rain instead of in a factory that never sees the sky. Pretend for 1 minute and see what opens. Watch the thoughts as if you were sitting on a quiet bench and they were passing strangers.
When that bite touches your tongue, you can sense how simple goodness is. It does not shout, it does not strut, it does not bargain for approval. It just enters and asks nothing but acceptance, like a letter from a friend who writes only to say hello. The body knows a friendly knock when it hears one. Let the fiction of love wrap the bite and carry it down, and notice how the fiction begins to sweat and turn into fact. Sometimes faith is just habit in its first pair of shoes, stiff, awkward, but already pointed in the right direction. You do not need an orchestra to play. One violin in a winter room can break your heart and fix it in the same note. Keep the moment small and steady, because small and steady builds a life. Watch the thoughts come and go as if you were looking out a window on a rainy street.
You have been told that willpower is the king, that you must clench teeth and become steel to change. But steel bends, and clenched teeth crack, and then the old story laughs, because collapse looks like proof. The quiet shift works differently, like the way spring keeps pushing up through frozen ground without giving speeches. Love, even pretend love, softens the soil. The more often you offer one true bite to a self you pretend to love, the more the pretend stops pretending. One day becomes 2, then 3, and the dark hallway gets a lamp installed by a hand that looks suspiciously like your own. There is no parade, no marching band, just the slow exile of the voice that once told you to hurt yourself and call it dinner. No heroics, only repetition with a kind edge. Watch the thoughts, like clouds that change shape without needing your help.
Picture the kitchen at midnight, the hum of the old refrigerator like an animal asleep under the sink. The streetlight across the road throws a bare stripe on the linoleum, and in that stripe every wrapper looks like a little ghost. Habit has a way of knowing your footsteps, of meeting you right where the floor squeaks. But rooms can learn new names. The salad in the bowl is not a halo. It is just food that does no harm and carries a little light in it. The fruit is not a sermon. It is just sweetness that does not collect a bill at the end. You are not on trial in this kitchen, no matter how the cabinets seem to stare. You can show up as the one who deserves gentleness, and the room will let you pass. Watch the thoughts as they rise, fall, and fade into the quiet at the edges.
Your body is not a villain, and it is tired of being cast as one. It has held your secrets, carried your griefs, and gotten you home on nights when the road would not sit still. It has healed after insults, mended after storms, and waited patiently for a good word from you. It will work with you the first moment you work with it. Hatred is heavy, and you have held it long enough to know what it does to your back. Love is not a fireworks show. Sometimes it is just a hand resting on a table, steady, saying nothing. The next kind bite is not a miracle. It is a statement of terms, a truce signed in the quiet kitchen. Bit by bit, the truce becomes peace, and peace becomes a habit that does not need a white flag. Watch the thoughts as if they were birds on a wire, coming and going while you stay still.
You will notice changes at the edges first, like frost retreating from the grass when the sun slips over the roof. The old cravings will still knock, but their knuckles will be softer, their voices less confident. The story you used to tell will forget its lines and start mumbling, embarrassed by the new lighting in your hallway. and you will not have to announce anything to anyone. You will catch yourself being kinder, quietly, as if you were learning a password and it turned out to be your own name. The cheap thrill of punishment will seem boring, like a movie you have watched too many times. Something older in you will sit up in its chair, shrug off a dusty coat and say, "Now then, let us live." This is how the opposite turns itself right side up. Keep watching the thoughts, patient and easy.
Thank you for walking this road with me, in this small, honest room where the walls do not lie. The clock is still ticking, but it sounds friendlier now, like a neighbor sweeping a porch. You have seen the bones of a hard story and the flesh of a truer one, and neither has swallowed you. You are still here, and the night is less crowded than it used to be. As you leave, carry the simple method like a matchbook in your pocket, light when needed, ordinary and bright. Keep the pretend love handy until it becomes real love, and let the daily bite be your signature on a kinder contract. No drama, no threats, no bargains, just the quiet company of someone who finally shows up for you by you. The horror story's ending, and the real story is stepping onto the page. Continue watching the thoughts, letting them pass exactly as they are.